Hey guys, so welcome to episode 5 for season 1. And in this episode, we're going to talk about some of the ways we as young people can benefit from the technologies and from what's happening around us in order to help us collaborate and provide valuable solutions for our societies and countries and so on and so forth. So I hope you enjoy this episode, and remember to share if you want to those who you love, and let them also hear the information in these episodes and in this series and podcast. Alright guys, so let's get started, and I'm going to talk about something that we all see around. And it's a time which has come with change, a lot of changes with the way we are living, the way we are doing things. Things have been made easier with the help of technology. Now, there are a lot of people today who have access to internet as compared to yesterday, and the numbers keep on increasing. But again, there are people out there, like for instance in my continent, Africa, and my country, Zambia, we also have quite a bigger number of people that don't have access to fast internet, to quality internet services and stuff like that. So when you look at these margins, it simply gives you a certain form of insight to how people are being and people are unable to see certain things happen around the globe. People are not having that sight or that opportunity to see what's happening in other countries and in other places. Now, you have this opportunity to listen to this podcast because you have the ability to use technology, to have a smartphone with you, which is something really, really good. But unfortunately, is that there are some of us, even despite having these kind of technologies, instead of using them as young people for our own benefit, they are using us in the sense that we are only gluing ourselves to the screens of our phones without benefiting anything at the end of the day. There are a lot of people right now, young people right now, I'm not saying comedy videos are bad or stuff like that, but some overdoing it. Are watching too many videos right now on their smartphones. We are watching a lot of things that are really, really harming us on our smartphones. At the end of the day, we continue blaming our governments and people in power that no, this is wrong, no, this is what. But at the end of the day, the story starts with us as young people, because we are, at the end of the day, going to be the future. We are the ones who are going to be in maybe certain offices out there. You'll be the next person who will be leading a group of people in a government position or in a company, wherever it is. Now, when we look at the things that we are doing now, they don't simply add up to the people that we claim that we want to be. Now, what's the big impact here is that if we do not well analyze the things that we are using technology for, we'll end up realizing when it's too late. Now, for us Africans, we have seen how a group of people, for instance, in my country, there are sometimes I've heard stories where a local contractor has been given a job, and instead of doing that job to a certain standard, they do that to a very low standard, and the government opts to maybe use foreign contractors or of some sort. Well, this is just it's just a certain example that I want to say it and try to elaborate and explain something. Now, you observe that this may happen in the sense that we are not using technology to expose ourselves to what other people are doing. Now, imagine if you are maybe just a contractor and you have just been seeing things in your own town, just the way if its roads are being done and stuff like. I have not really developed that desire or that drive to really know and learn what's happening around you, what's happening in other places, the kinds of innovations that are happening in the other countries and whatsoever. At the end of the day, the thing that we may do in our nations will end up being obsolete. And yet there are other things that are better out there that are even maybe cheaper than what we are doing, but because of that lack of exposure, what we do is what's substandard, and that's something that's really common in many aspects and many views of many people, not only in Africa but even in other countries. in other continents of the world, it's happening because of what? Lack of exposure, lack of that drive to really get to understand. Now look at this. The time that we're living in now is a data time technology. People are able to pay a lot of sums of data, a lot of sums of money for with exchange for data. It really shows you how valuable data has become in our time, because it's a very powerful resource. It's a very powerful tool for someone to provide and make solutions for the future which are sustainable. What I simply mean is that imagine someone is thinking of maybe making a certain thing, a project, or maybe making an online app which connects, like for instance Uber, which helps people to move and maneuver around the cities and towns. And this person may think like, wow, this is the first ever app I'm making. If they have never even heard about Uber or whatsoever, they will think it's going to be what? The first ever. And when they simply go online and check, they find there are a lot of people doing that. There are a lot of other places that are doing that. But if that person doesn't have that opportunity to even know or ask anyone if there's anything similar to that, which may help them maybe to add a certain addition to make that project even better than what's already running or which is already on the ground, it means that their project will be what? Obsolete, and people will even invest money in that project. So you find that we as young people, we need to also have that idea and concept of wanting to know or desiring to know what other people are doing. Not really in the name of trying to challenge them, but in the name of what? Trying to learn from them and trying to see how we can innovate from where they have not thought, in order to make sustainable solutions for the long term and not short term. Because if we as young people, the only thing we are going to do now is think short term, then how our plans going to be sustainable in the long term? The next 5 years, in the next 20 years, in the next 15 years, how would this be? How would this be in the next 30 years? Such kind of things, we really need to think about that, and we cannot think about that without having the right information, the right data, the right kind of awareness of what's happening in a certain field. It means that whatever we are doing will only last for 2 years, and what, we are bankrupt, or we're saying, no, this business, I'm closing it down. So it calls for need of us young people to really think not only within our circles, but like they said, to be thinking about what will happen in the next 10 years, to think outside the box. Because if we think outside the box, by then Africa and even other countries and continents, Europe, whatsoever, will have sustainable projects, sustainable ideas which will be sustained in the long term. But if what we simply do is sit back, watch videos of entertainment without trying to see what's going around the world, we don't have that desire to see what other people are doing, how other people are living in China, how other people are living in Russia, how other people are living in the United States of America or in other places of the world. It's simply that we're going to shut down the longness of what our ideas, the sustainability of our ideas. We're going to shut that down, because we are going to only think about the next 1 year, the next 2 years, and after that, what happens then? Because it's not about only us, but it's also about the people surrounding us. That's why we first started with talking about collaboration, because it's a way that's going to join young people. If you have a network of people, a network of people you are able to collaborate with, you find that you'll be able to put down ideas together. Because it's very difficult now in our time to think of a sustainable idea if you are not willing to collaborate. The reason being is that there's something that your friend might have seen somewhere or on the internet that you have not seen it, but you feel like, well, what I'm doing is right. And in the verge or in the in the act of you doing that, you find that you're actually doing something that's not sustainable. You're doing something that has already been done. At the end of the day, you lose your time, you lose your money, you lose that drive to do what you're doing because of what? Lack of awareness, lack of knowledge, or lack of information about what you wanted to do. So it really calls for a great desire within us as young people of wanting to collaborate, because collaboration is one thing that will really join young people, and that is one thing that will really help us have sustainable ideas. It's one thing that will help us to work together and come up with meaningful solutions for the future. But if we focus on I can do it all, what will happen is that in the name of saying I can do it all, you end up failing to do it, because it has become much difficult in our time to invent or renovate without having an open-minded ability or an open-minded personality to be able to ask around, to be able to know what's happening around. So you find that the most people in our time, the young people that are doing most, are those willing to collaborate, those willing to work with other people, those who are willing to do things not only to impress other people but to also be of service to other people. It's really something that's really great about our time, and technology will really help young people connect. It will really help young people to come together as one. And during this coronavirus, you can even ask yourself a question to say, how many relationships have I built? Strong relationships that I've built, that I can strongly say, no, I can do a project with this person, I can do a project with this person. Or are you just going to say, honestly speaking, I've watched a lot of movies this holiday, I've watched a lot of movies during quarantine? Is something that you really need to ask yourself. Of course, when you ask yourself such questions, they are going to really give you an open understanding of what's really lacking in us young people. It's really something that we should really take note of, and not just blaming people, pointing fingers at people without first removing the speck in our own eyes. And this is the reason why I'm making this podcast, guys, to join us as one, to really help us together to collaborate and not to be competitors, So in the next episode, and episode 6, I'm going to now go deeper in how such kind of things can be achieved, the strategies that we can achieve, some of the things that we think we have been seen, but actually we have not been seeing them. So watch it for episode 6, guys, and it's going to be really awesome. We're going to go deep and discuss some of the things that are affecting us and making us fail to provide sustainable solutions in one way or the other, and some of the things that we can do and prepare now before we are hit by the future. Enjoy.